So Kate, could you give us an understanding of the future of business development, please?
I think that, and I'm going to stick my neck out a bit here, I think that unless the structure of law firms changes, i.e. moves away from partnership, I'm not sure that there's going to be a radical change. I think it'll just be just more of what we're doing. Because I think that whilst partners still own the business, they're still going to want to lead the sales, lead the relationships.
I'm interested in that. I think structurally, I don't think you're wholly wrong. I think it's going to look and feel very different for business development and marketing professionals within law firms. I think it's going to be a far more agile workforce. I think it's going to be far more used to working with technology as a differentiator and as a platform for working and collaborating with clients. There are lots of different examples of that at the moment, be that GC Hub or Objective Manager, and the use of technology in that juxtaposition between client and in-house practices is absolutely critical. But I also think that there's been a shift over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of the positioning of BD and marketing directors, chief marketing officers, and their importance to organisational performance is increasingly high, and the result of which the positioning of the function is receiving a more elevated status. And actually, I think in the next 5 years, what you'll see is that continuing, so that we are actually operating as an equal footing to a COO or a CFO. So
sort of more of the same rather than any radical change.
I think there'll be a number of different levers that will be pulled, but I think the prominence of the function will be far higher. And that means we've got to be far more professional, focused on outputs and KPIs. And that, I think, is the fundamental difference from where we've come from to where we're going to.
But do you agree that partners will continue to lead the sales and client management at the coalface with clients?
I think that will certainly be the case in the more established, more traditional firms. I think that already has begun to change in some of the more dynamic, what you might call mid-tier.
I think the mid-tier firms, I think we are starting to see that change, yes. And I think also we have to look at actually how partners are rewarded. And I think that's also going to, it's definitely, without a doubt, the way individuals are rewarded drives how they behave.
I think there's a key point about reward and recognition mechanisms and getting that right. And I actually think the role of business development and client development within the legal profession is critical in helping review partner performance, because much of what we focus on is not just output in terms of revenue, but it's input. And you have to get a position whereby partners are rewarded for their input. Because quite often you see the results 18 months down the line. You can't just turn a relationship like that and expect for it to be a 7-figure opportunity. Often these things take 3-4 years to materialise into a really significant institutionalised relationship.
I think that's right, and it's quite interesting. One of the firms that I spoke to, when they were embarking on their key account management programme, the very first thing they started with was the partner reward mechanism. They basically sat down and they said, actually, how do we want people, or how do we need people to behave in order to institutionalise these key clients, grow these key clients and deliver the very best service we can to these key clients. And they actually started by looking at the reward mechanism.
I think it also needs to be seen in the context of actually what clients want. And I think this is what's really interesting is increasingly marketing and business development professionals, BD directors, CMOs are interacting with COOs, CFOs, HRDs in a way that they've never done before, because they understand that the dependencies that exist between these different roles are critical to the whole performance of the firm. And you cannot achieve success by pulling one growth lever or squeezing the balloon in one direction, hoping that that will generate enough momentum for a whole firm. It's got to be a coordinated attack on actually performance and what the different drivers are.
No, I'd agree with that.